You've arrived at the presentation about the countermeasure to minimize the effects of social isolation for astronauts on long duration space flights. And we use a system called time shifting. Hi, everybody. We begin our session by taking you into the future. I will read a brief excerpt from an astronaut on a starship as she writes in her journal en route to Mars. And this is what she writes. I floated over to my private room tonight, a small place, but with a window that looks to the wide universe, and where the walls inside are covered with pictures of my own universe, my family and friends. Tonight, my laptop opened for the latest exchange between Mike, our two children, Nick, 10, and Daphne, who just turned 8, and me. Our lively conversations were about the newest family member in our house, a new puppy the kids have named Sky. I felt like I was there. I look forward to our conversations that are frequent, engaging, energizing. We will be together again soon after my spacewalk above Mars. Being this close and connected to my family inspires me through all the days of my journey. How can this astronaut be in one of the most dangerous conditions in space, isolation, while millions of miles away from home, and not suffer from their potentially hazardous effects? Today we'll show you how. Thanks for joining us today. Looking at a, sorry, we're
right here.
My name's MJ Marggraff, and I have a bio in here. There it is. And as you can see, I've spent many years in aviation and working on space projects. And I have to say that the one that we're going to be sharing with you today is the one that I am most excited about. My area is space health, and to look for challenges in space, you need to look no further than space. Space is a condition called ice, where conditions are called isolated, confined, and extreme. And they're extremely hazardous to astronauts. In fact, NASA has claimed isolation and confinement as one of the top 5 space health conditions and risks that needs to be mitigated for long duration space flights. In space, what we try to give to astronauts are resources, tools, knowledge, so that they can optimize their resilience and adaptation to conditions that are extremely, not only extremely challenging, but offer a number of uncertainties. One certainty, though, is that isolation for extended time is very dangerous to our well-being. And it's dangerous because it affects the entire person, physiologically, psychosocially, cognitive performance. Our hearts can be damaged. Our teamwork can suffer from communication breakdown. We might not be performing our tasks the way we really should be performing them. In this past year, due to COVID, many of us understand this better than ever from having experienced the feelings of our own ice conditions. But what can make a difference? Well, it turns out that accounts ranging from the early polar explorers in the early 20th century all the way to astronauts' journals that are being studied through a research project show that there are some common themes. One of the key things for resilience is outside communication. And the most important and meaningful type of communication comes from family and close friends. Currently, what we offer astronauts is some of this on the International Space Station. Astronauts have emails, video chats, and telephone communication there and back. However, as we go further into space, we find that this will not be adequate because Mars is much further At its closest point, Mars is 30 million plus miles from Earth, and it has its own challenges in addition to isolation. Mars, because of its distance, suffers from latency issues, time lag we call it. That is, if I send you a message and you're on Mars, my hello takes 20 minutes or so to get there. Your hello back is 20 minutes later. Not very effective for two-way communication. In addition, availability issues become a problem, which means schedules are busy, but busy in a different way. I don't know about you, but I have enough problem with time zones in the United States, 2 hours plus, 1 hour minus. On Mars, a day is 24 hours plus about 39 and a half minutes, all which need to be considered. Further evidence about connectivity issues come from the astronauts themselves. Creating creative connections, says former astronaut Nicole Stott. It's real important, she said, for creativity between she and her children, important to stay tied together. And then sharing the firsts of life. Lots of things come up as firsts. For Karen Nyberg, she missed her son's first day of preschool, a young boy, she said, who loves dinosaurs and fixing things. She said, you wonder if you're doing the right thing for your children. And reconnecting after the flight, connection hasn't been strong along the way. This comes up. In the final weeks of Scott Kelly's year in space, Amico, his partner, said they needed to reconnect when he returned. What does that mean? He said. You're not feeling connected? And there are others. In summary, here's the condition that we have to work with. In order to make a countermeasure very effective, it must have these elements. It must be tailored to the astronaut and, of course, include his or her close family and friends. The exchanges need to be relevant, meaningful, and finally, we must take into account distance, which of course means latency and availability. Astronauts don't have this yet, but Jim will show how it can be done. I'd like to introduce to you my husband, Jim Marggraff.
Hi, good afternoon. So by way of quick background, I'm a serial entrepreneur and inventor. If anybody, I can't see hands, no one has video on, but if you know of, have heard of Leapfrog before? Leapfrog makes children's learning products. And I, years ago, had invented the Leapfrog Leap Pad. We helped 100 million kids in a period of about 5 years and many families. And prior to that, had been a founder of Stratacom, which is wide area networking. Then I started another company called LiveScribe to make a smart pen, which captures audio and ink and allows you to replay what you've written on paper. Most recently, founded a company called iFluence that I sold to Google in 2016 to do eye tracking and eye interaction. And so when MJ, my wife, decided to return to school, she went back to USC for a doctorate about 6 years ago. We spoke about this challenge of long duration spaceflight and social and psychosocial issues of being isolated, and said, gee, what could we do to address this? So that led to me founding another company called Kinoo, and it's rooted in long duration space exploration. And so what we've created is AR/AI enabled video chat for enhancing family connection, play and learning, and we're about to launch this product. And in fact, recently, just a couple of weeks ago, we're recognized as AARP, as the #1 company in the country for innovation. And the basis of what I'm describing today is a patent that was issued earlier this year. It's called Systems and Methods for Time-Shifting Interactions using a Shared AI Personality. And what's interesting is it started with the discussion about NASA for connectivity. How do we overcome space and time to connect two people, one on Earth and one in Mars, with this 40-minute round trip communication challenge, latency? And then said, I took it to mass market and said, gee, how can we deal with time shifting on Earth across time zones for families? But now we've returned and said, what could we do right now without years of development for AI to address a specific problem for analogs and near-term missions for NASA and commercial spaceflight? So what I'll be describing is an approach today that looks at, instead of, it's an AI proof of concept that uses a human agent initially. So we're looking at custom use of a person. And this allows us to then select, as we move forward with the research on this, looking at how the human can play this role and how we can support it with existing technology to use best AI models and look at the training data we'll need for training the AI. But the fact is we can instantiate it right now with astronaut analogs and for near-term missions with existing technology. So what's our PTS, our problem to solve? One, as MJ said, we have to keep astronauts and their family and friends connected, feeling relevant in their lives and feeling like they're current, involved in day-to-day activities. So they don't go away and communicate in batch modes of sending emails with delays and sending video journals and video reports, but rather they feel like they're connected day to day. And they want to achieve a feeling of real-time dialogue. So they actually are talking to each other and getting responses. And in doing so, if we can do this the right way, they will look forward to these sessions rather than just getting a video and saying, I'll get to it later and I'll watch this 10 or 15-minute video. They're going to be looking forward to engaging in video chat. And finally, this is very interesting. After they have experienced it, the memories they will have will make them feel as though they had a real-time experience because they did in real time, in person. And it will rewrite their brain so they'll always think of what they've done with their family, even when they're this distance away across space and time together. So how do you do this? Well, this is a diagram I lifted from the patent, and the patent describes how to approach this in time shifting and another patent called time sharing, using an AI facilitated real-time interaction. But what I'll look at today is something that allows us to do this with people. And so it begins with this human agent. And the person that will be acting, if you will, as playing multiple roles, which eventually will be augmented with a human with AI and eventually AI, starts with a human, but they'll play 3 roles. They'll be a director, a producer, a director, and actually an agent. And the agent will be the agent in a role as an actor of a family therapist, because that way this individual knows and gets to know the family. And we'll show you this. I'll show a video in a little while of this working, if you will. It's a simulation, but it shows how it can work. And we'll show 3 sessions. The first will be a session which is in space, where there's an astronaut in space talking to a family on Earth with the therapist, the agent supporting it. Then we'll come to Earth some days later, and we'll see what happens there with the dialogue. And then we'll go back to space. But you'll see the effects of time shifting and time sharing. So on the space side of it, the astronaut, who's Jamie, she's shown on the ISS in the pink shirt. What's occurring here is the agent that is facilitating this exchange by constructing a video package with interactive software that gets sent through space with 20-minute delay to the astronaut. Upon arrival, the astronaut then, when they get to this, will open this and they'll do something fascinating. They'll experience a real-time interaction, and it'll be broken into 2 parts. When they open the software, first of all, they will observe themselves, watching themselves in history talk, and they'll observe their family responding to them. And the next thing that'll happen is they then will interact in real time, talking to their family and to the agent at that time. They will be in real time, but the family won't. But it's designed in a manner that creates a sense of a feeling of real-time communication. And next,
that's pretty fucking cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're excited. And I'll show you the video because it's pretty profound. On Earth then, a package is sent back. We've collected the video from the astronaut. We've watched their reaction. It's all facilitated, again, with tools. It returns to the agent. The agent then builds a package for the family. And the agent is on Earth. They can talk to the family in real time. So they build a package. Then they share it with the family and they coordinate that and facilitate the exchange with the family on Earth. But it starts in 2 sessions. The first session, the family watches themselves in history, talk to their mom in space, and then they interact again. So you have these 2 parts to each one of them, and then we return to space. So session 1 is passive viewing. So now if you look at this window, you'll see there's Jamie. She's watching herself historically talk to her family. But when she was talking then, the family hadn't responded, but now she gets to see herself talking in their response. Then we move to the next session. Let's see, this will click hopefully. There we go. So we're seeing in the red box, that's Jamie in real time in space, watching historically what happened. Then we move to the second one where she's actively engaged down in the lower part of the screen, where now she's talking but she's, again, this is facilitated interaction. The red and the blue represent real time, and the blue is something that's packaged. So I'll show you the video. So we're going to look at 3 sessions: space with the 2 parts, passive and active; on Earth, passive and active; and back in space. And if you look at the clothing changes, you'll see how this evolves, because we're mixing time. We are time shifting in exchange, but we're writing it and etching into your memory in a manner that makes you feel like you're talking about day-to-day activities on an ongoing basis. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and then share a video window here. And there we go. So I'll do a screen share again, and I'll optimize for the clip. So this is, I'm going to stop and pause now and then to make this make sense, because it is kind of mind-bending. I can tell you, putting this together was not trivial. And we green screened this. These people you're seeing here are not professional actors. They're friends, and they helped us do this. But the therapist is a professional therapist, and that is core to this, because ultimately that agent, with the appropriate software tools to create this sense of interactivity, augmented with AI, will do something profound. So let's watch. So first session, in space, you'll see Jamie the astronaut watching herself talk to her family in space. Here we go.
Hi, Jamie. Let's take a look at your last chat with your family about the possibility of a puppy.
Mom, we can take care of him, really.
Hi, hon. Nick and Daphne really want a puppy. What do you think?
No, kids, a puppy needs lots of love and care.
We'll make a doghouse. And I'll make him a scarf.
Mike, if you agree, Nick and Daphne, if you agree to really take care of him, then I'm on board.
Yay, we have a name picked out too.
Jamie, if I remember correctly, you had a dog as a little girl. What was his name again?
Major, what a great dog.
We're gonna name him Sky.
I love it. Sky, that's fantastic.
So you just saw Jamie in the blue shirt on the left, watching herself historically communicate with her family in a dialogue. She will feel she's connected with that family. Now this continues in the same package that's been shipped to space, which is a composited set of video with interactive software, ultimately looking at, as we progress this, it will look at it'll look at speech recognition, natural language processing. It will process this. There will be more AI that determines how to respond. But right now, it's very simple, and we can build this as a proof of concept now with existing technology in an analog. Let's proceed. Part B.
Jamie, we have an update. Nick and Daphne have a special surprise for you.
Mom, look, here's Sky. Daphne, can you show Mom? Hi, Mom. Sky says hi.
Oh, Sky, oh my gosh, he's so cute.
Nick and Daphne are both doing really great with Sky. They've even mopped up a few little things.
Nick and Daphne, I'm so excited for you. I know you're going to take good care of Sky.
We're so happy. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, kids. I'd like to speak with Mom alone for a moment, okay?
Okay.
You guys want to take Sky with
Bye,
you?
Mom.
Hon, I'd like your advice. Remember that new job possibility? Well, they've offered it to me, and they want me to start next year, and I'd love your thoughts.
That's great news. I'll be home with you when it starts. I'm eager to hear all the details as soon as you have them.
Mike, I know this is a hard decision for you, given Jamie's absence.
Thanks, Katie. It's a big change and the right decision. That is, if Mike likes the details and his new boss.
So, Mike, Jamie has some great news to share too.
I have my first spacewalk around Mars tomorrow. I'm so excited. You can watch me on Wednesday at 2 p.m. your time. I'll even wave.
Bye.
So pause for a second. Again, let's see what's happening. Jamie's on the station in real time in a red box, or let's say she's Mars and we've got a major delay, a latency challenge. On the right side, that information has arrived in space and Jamie is interacting with this. This is put together in a way because Jamie has suspended disbelief. She knows she's not talking in real time, but she, in a sense, is. She's feeling this because of the construct that we've achieved here. That's a big deal. Okay, proceed. We'll wrap this one up.
For now, Jamie.
Bye-bye. Love to you all.
Now we're back on Earth. Now we've moved ahead in time. Now
Hey, Mike.
we have the family that has received a package that's been now, first of all, the package came in from space. The agent has constructed this in a manner to support an interchange with the family. The agent is involved in real time because the agent can talk to this family in real time, but Jamie's not. But it begins with the family observing how they had the interaction they had with Jamie previously, which is the first time they've seen her reactions to it, but it's all put together. They're watching themselves and her response.
Hi, Nick, Daphne. Let's take a look at your last chat with Mom. She's really excited.
Mom, look, here's Sky. Daphne, can you show Mom? Hi, Mom. Sky says hi.
Oh, Sky, oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Nick and Daphne are both doing really great with Sky. They've even mopped up a few little things.
Nick and Daphne, I'm so excited for you. I know you're going to take good care of Sky.
We're so happy. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, kids. I'd like to speak with Mom alone for a moment, okay?
Okay.
You guys want to take Sky with
Bye,
you?
Mom.
Hun, I'd like your advice. Remember that new job possibility? Well, they've offered it to me and they want me to start next year, and I'd love your thoughts.
So pause again. So things to note. We noticed the shift in time, observation of self, and also the key point is we chose these themes as representative of what could be realistic. You've got a decision around bringing a pet into the house. You have a discussion about a job and a change in one's life. Those would, if those happen in a journal that's just sent as a video, oh, by the way, we got a dog. The astronaut mom doesn't have agency. She's not a part of the family's life. And a decision around taking a new job. Now you can have an exchange, a real exchange, which keeps people involved and part of one another's lives in both directions. Let's continue.
Okay, Mike. Jamie's been thinking a lot about this since you asked for her thoughts.
That's great news. I'll be home with you when it starts. I'm eager to hear all the details as soon as you have them.
This is a hard change for you, Mike, and Jamie's totally ready to support you.
Thanks, Katie. I've been struggling with this.
Thanks, Katie. It is a big change and the right decision. That is, Mike, if you feel good about the details and your new boss.
Hun, I'm so relieved to hear you say that. That's how I feel about it too, but I've been really conflicted. That really helps me. I have a few more details. My pay will be much higher and my new boss seems really great. Thanks so much.
This is wonderful. You're both really in sync on this. And now Jamie's got some other good news for you.
I have my first spacewalk around Mars tomorrow. I'm so excited. You can watch me on Wednesday at 2 p.m. your time. I'll even wave.
Oh, Jamie, that's incredible. That's a pinnacle moment for you and the crew. We'll all be waving back, send some photos. The kids and I are so proud of you.
And finally, the third part. So now we're back in space and we'll close up this saga. So the story about Mike and his job, and Jamie learns and they exchange more information. So it begins with Jamie being passive again, observing what she had previously
Hey,
spoken.
Jamie. Hi. Your support for Mike was just what he needed. Now let's look back on your discussion.
That's great news. I'll be home with you when it starts. I'm eager to hear all the details as soon as you have them.
I've been struggling with this.
It is a big change and the right decision. That is, Mike, if you feel good about the details and your new boss.
Hun, I'm so relieved to hear you say that. That's how I feel about it too, but I've been really conflicted. That really helps me. I have a few more details. My pay will be much higher and my new boss seems really great. Thanks so much.
I have my first spacewalk around Mars tomorrow. I'm so excited. You can watch me on Wednesday at 2 p.m. your time. I'll even wave.
And finally, the last real-time piece in space.
So Jamie, how did your spacewalk go?
It was indescribable. It was beyond anything I ever could have imagined. The overview effect was mind-blowing. I felt so connected to Earth.
Oh, Jamie, that's incredible. That's a pinnacle moment for you and the crew. We'll all be waving back, send some photos. The kids and I are so proud of you.
Absolutely. Here are some photos of me waving to you. By the way, bye for now. I love you so much.
There we go. And so wrapping up, I would love some questions because this is the first presentation of this approach on time shifting that's ever been shown. It is a bit mind-boggling. It does work, it can work, and we believe that it can have pretty profound effect on relationships when there is a combination of latency challenge as well as the general accessibility issue that MJ had mentioned before, which just based upon people's schedules. And when you aren't able to stay connected, your sense of your relationship is challenged. And we know the effect that has ultimately on astronauts' performance. This is documented. So what's next for us is identifying, selecting partner organizations that are interested in carrying this further, continuing research and development in this space, and ultimately deploying this and testing it in an analog. There's some interest already that's been expressed to us in analogs. And this, again, this can be done with technology today. It'll take some video work and stitching and a small team, but it is achievable. But fundamentally, it's the stepping stone to a much bigger technology solution. And I can say, having started, I'm on my 7th company, and have done this a lot with new ideas. Anything is possible when the idea is right and the need is there. So we look forward to being able to help this cause in astronauts' well-being and performance for themselves and their families in the future. So can we take questions now? We have 1 or 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Do you have a name for the product yet?
Gee, you know what? I guess let me go back to the title. We're calling this, it's time shifting for long duration space exploration.
And you mentioned that you're doing some testing on this on Earth. Is it going to be available for like beta testing? Some had a question here about somebody saying they work in Chile and they have family in Europe. So there are some terrestrial, as you mentioned, with time zone changes. Any plans for kind of a test rollout or anything like that?
Yeah, I can tell you that. So there's the 2 sides. There's Kinoo, Kinoo.com. That's the commercial company that's focused on connecting remote family members with fun and play, games, interaction with older family members, with younger family members, kids 3 to 7. So that's about to be launched. There'll be a big press announcement on that next week, following ARP's selection of us as the top company in the country. Right now, we're looking for partners to take this to the next step for addressing. We believe that the analog is a good environment for this, but nothing for general public use. That's not planned in the short term for this type of time shifting. That will come with Kinoo in the future, again, beginning with families with young and old loved ones.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for presenting. It is time for the next talk. There is no talk at this time in this track, but there are additional tracks available. Oh, it looks like there's only one. The role of AI in the space industry and Mars. So, but because there isn't another track here, if anybody else has any questions, we can go over a little bit. But if you would like to go to the next track, now's the time to go ahead and do that.
This is Susan here, Dr. Jewell. I have a quick question before I move to the next track for Jim and MJ. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I just think it's really something that is a huge challenge, of course, to the communication delay. Actually, I would love to be able to reach out to you and to be able to test this in our analog missions in the Mojave Desert at our Mars base. And so that's something we can talk offline. But how can anybody reach out to you if they wanted to partner or collaborate or test it in their, in their own projects or in their own missions?
Yeah, I used used MJ's email, which is mjmarggraff@gmail.com, and we'll put it in chat right now as well.
Yeah, I'm delighted to hear that. And I did have my contact as my Gmail account. And yeah, I look forward to your message and taking it from there.
Thank you, Susan. That's great. And this is
welcome.
Susan.
And yes, it's Susan here, Dr. Jewell. I'm CEO of Mars. But there's somebody who wants to ask a question with their hands up. That's Dave Baker. Go ahead, Dave. Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Dr. Marggraff, very impressive technology. Thank you for the presentation. So technology aside, what are the thoughts given to protocols for handling, very sensitive information, the Dear John letter, or there was a scene in the show For All Mankind where, one of the astronauts' children dies in an accident, so like, what are the thoughts on that about, things that could really, compromise a mission or an astronaut's effectiveness, and how to deal with things like that?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And the protocol currently, to my understanding, is that NASA and the astronauts that go right now, of course, you know, they're aboard station, having not yet returned to the moon and Mars, but that will likely be the same. And the protocol is that there's an understanding. What information do they want to know? What information would they like to wait on? So this would not be independent of working with NASA or ESA or other agencies where their astronauts show up. We'd work together because this is about space health, and that comes first.
So I guess it begins with following current protocol, identifying issues that are unique to this type of engagement, realizing that there is a human involved, a therapist, understanding that where the line is drawn between private and non-private conversations, and then taking this forward as technology begins to be deployed again. So we'll turn to NASA to help answer that, or other agencies to help answer that question. But the protocol can be defined.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I realize there are other sessions that you may want to attend. I do have my Gmail there once again, and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for attending our session today.